So we are given some algebraic expressions, and we are also given the values of these variables, so we can plug them in and evaluate. So first step is plug in numbers. And in the first expression, we only have x, so we're going to find the value for x, which is -1, and we're going to replace the variable x with -1. When we do that, make sure you put a pair of parentheses for -1, because we're going to take 2 copies of x, and x includes both the minus sign and 1. And so the next step, we're going to follow the order of after we plug in the numbers, we follow the order of operations. PANDAS, well, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So first step, we're going to have to work out what's inside the parentheses. But notice inside the parentheses, it's just a negative number. There are not really any operations we need to do. So we're going to work on the next step, which is exponent. So we're going to work out the exponent. 2 means 2 copies of the whatever in the parentheses. That means -1 times -1. So we do this part, -1 times -1, that gives us +1. 2 negatives make a positive. And next we're going to, all right, so we finally do the multiplication. And be very careful between 3 and -1 because of the parentheses. The operation is multiplication, but we cannot multiply 3 and -1 before the exponent, because exponent goes before multiplication. So we have to do exponent first, leave 3 alone, and work out the exponent to get 1. And finally, we do 3 times 1, which is 3. Now, in the second case, we have fractions, but first step is still plugging numbers. So when we have x and x, we replace them with -1. So that's the one in red. Be careful. We make sure you copy the minus sign. But for the variable z, because z is -2, and also make sure you bring down both the number and the digit and the minus sign. So after we plug in, now we got to be very careful with the sign numbers. We still follow the order of operations. There is a plus and there's a minus here, but between 3 and -2, that's multiplication. So which means we have to work out those multiplications first. So first I'm going to do 3 times -2. That gives us -6. And the bottom, -2 times -2 is +4. Because positive times negative is still negative, but negative times negative would be positive. So after we finish the multiplication, now we can work on the addition. And so negative plus negative, it's debt plus debt. That gives us higher debt, which is -7. And the bottom, one of them is, so this top is the debt plus debt. We're still going to get debt minus, but we're going to get larger debt. That means we add $1 debt and $6 debt to get $7 debt. But in the bottom, we have debt, -1, $1 debt plus $4 credit. So because we have more credit than debt, so the answer is going to be in credit. And 4 is the 4 is 3 bigger than 1, so we do subtraction here. 4 minus 1, that gives us 3. And now we do this division, and the line, horizontal line, means divide. So we're going to do negative divided by positive. That gives us negative. And 7 divided by 3, it's not divisible, so we can leave the answer as a fraction. And this fraction is also reduced. So next one, we plug in numbers first. W is +1 and z is -2. So again, if it's a negative number, it's better to put them in a pair of parentheses. And now we're going to work out multiplication, because it's multiplication here. So we're going to work that out first. -3 times -2, that's +6. And then we do +1 plus 6, that gives us +7. So these questions, we are still working on sign numbers, but we just need to plug in numbers first and then use the sign number rules to simplify each question.